Hi, it's Gary. Welcome to today's video. Today, First Impressions Day. We're going to be taking a look at one of the Inkvent pens from my wife. This is the Yongsheng or Wingsung 3103. Let's just take out this crinkly wrapper. This is a vacuum filling pen and it was a fairly inexpensive pen. Join me now down on the mat. We'll take a look at the pen, we'll fill it with ink, do a writing sample, then I'll give you my first impressions. Welcome down to the mat. Here we've got the pen. This is the Yongsheng 3013 or the Wingsung 3013. Nice transparent colour, isn't it? I do like the transparent pens. I like to be able to see the ink sloshing around. Also helps because I can easily see how much ink is in there. Let's take a look at the body. So at the top, although it looks domed when it's laying down, there's a very small flat circle, and then we've got these little, I can never remember what they're called, little hexagons, I think. Is that what you call a four-sided shape? That comes down into a silver coloured band running all the way around. Underneath that is a ring to which is attached the clip. Clip, very springy. Plastic cap, see-through cap. Now, one of the things we can see through straight away, we've got that transparent looking feed. Will be interesting when I put the ink in if that turns to the colour of the ink. I expect it will do. I actually think that's a nice idea. It'll add a little bit to the visual appeal of the pen. So the cap is tapering out, might be tapering out all the way down. The bottom might be straight, but certainly we've got a definite taper here at the top. Come down to this really wide silver coloured band. On there we've got Wingsung, and then on the back 3013. So we've got the manufacturer and the model. Now I bought this off AliExpress where it was advertised as a Yongsheng, so I'm guessing that is maybe the Chinese pronunciation for Wingsung. The bottom of this cap, we don't actually have a step down. If there is, it's very, very, very small. We come down into the body. The body, again transparent, to my eye is tapering out very slightly as we go up. We've got inside the body, we've got a couple of O-rings there. We've got the silver plunger. Then we've got the cap at the end. Again, all plastic. Now I'm going to unscrew that cap. So as I unscrew it, this plunger lifted up. This is a vacuum filler, so let's put it up to the top. And to fill it, it's just a case of pushing down. It's building now a vacuum behind the plunger. When I get down to about here, you can see inside, the inside chamber, it then spreads a little bit. So I go past, that releases the seal. By releasing that seal, it should suck the ink up into the body. Another nice little feature with this, if I screw the cap down, this plunger will seal the section off from the body. Nice idea, means if there's an issue and you're losing ink, the worst you'll do is lose what's in the section rather than an entire pen's worth. Quite a nice pen. We'll take the cap off, screw cap, so there's one, about just over 1.5 I would say. So that's quite nice, that comes off. As said, we've got this transparent looking feed. Then we've got this Wingsung nib. Nice simple nib. There's writing on there. The bottom, we've got that it's a fine nib. The nib then comes into the section. The section looks to be the same width all the way through. And I'm hoping that when I've got ink in here, we actually see the ink in the section. I think that will be quite nice. The very bottom, it feels like there's a little rubber O-ring there. We've got a rubber O-ring here up near the top, just at the top of the threads. Let's pop the pen back together. Let's swap over the view and we'll look at some size comparisons. With the caps on, I brought in a Pilot Metropolitan and the Lamy Safari, my standard pens, and that Wingsung, a little bit longer than both of them. Let's take the caps off. Unposted, Again, the wing sung ever so slightly longer. The nib on this looks like it's a number 6 size nib. So if that's so, that's something again for me to look at in the future. I might be able to easily swap other nibs into here. It comes with a fine nib. You know, if it's a pen that I find that I like the feel of it, I might be able to put maybe a broad or even a stub nib in there. I think that'd work quite well in this pen. You know, especially with that transparent nature. I like seeing broad nibs and then seeing the ink flowing around. Let's look at these posted. So I've posted the caps, but I'm going to show you this. This is the wing sung. Does not post. You know, that doesn't hold on anywhere. So I wouldn't even recommend to attempt to post it. But unposted, the pen, yeah, that's plenty long enough. It's nice and comfortable in my hand. I'm going to step away from the desk now. Whilst I'm away, I'm going to wash the pen out. When I come back, we'll put some ink in it. We'll do a writing sample. Then I'll give you my first impressions. So I'm back. I've given the pen a clean. One of the downsides with these vacuum fillers, they're quite awkward to clean out. You have to keep going a number of times until you see there's no ink left in it. Obviously, we didn't have any ink in now, but that's one thing, just a downside to be aware of. Today's ink is by Herbin, and it's an Éclat de Saphir. I thought I'd go for a blue coloured ink. Reason I chose this, I haven't got many blues inked up at the moment, and I haven't used this particular ink for maybe 3 or 4 months, so I thought, yeah, let's get this out and give this one a go. So in goes the pen. I'm going to try this on an angle, so hopefully you can see it fill. So I'm pushing down, so we're building up there that vacuum. Now we're down near the bottom, it should release, and there it sucked up the ink. Now I could do another couple to fill it up even more, but half the body, that'll do for me. Let's just clean it off and then fetch in the notepad of testing. Here we've got the notepad of testing. This is Oxford Optic paper. I love this paper. It's really nice. It's fountain pen friendly. This is an A5 notebook. Now before I write, I'm just going to show you there's no ink showing through in the section, but we've got that nice blue ink there in that feed. I think that looks quite nice. So we've got here a wing sung. .3013. It's got a fine nib. This cost my wife $8 Australian. The ink, Herbin, and it's Éclat de Saphir. So it's like a sapphire blue colour. Looks nice, and look at that. I love seeing that ink sloshing around. To me, this is one of the beauties with these demonstrator type pens. Drying times, so we go, there's immediate, 10 seconds, 30 seconds, smudging ever so slightly. I'm not going to do a minute, we're dry virtually there at 30 seconds. Let's move the mic down to the page and write a sentence. That's not too bad. It does feel a bit scratchy, not overly so, not unusably so, but there's a definite noticeable scratch to it. Line variation, so here's no pressure. Here's with a bit of pressure. Looks like it might have been railroading slightly. No pressure, with pressure, none, with, none, and with. As expected with this pen, not a lot of line variation. The nib fairly stiff, fairly scratchy, still pleasant though. Flow test. Yep, that keeps up really nice. Goes all the way across the page. So what are my first impressions of the Wing Sung 3013? It's actually quite nice. I like it. I like the transparent nature of it. I like the feel of it. It feels nice in my hand. The section got a nice width to it. The whole pen's got a nice width to it. It rests nicely there up into my hand. If you're a poster, you're not going to even want to try this. It does not post in any way. The nib. This is a fine nib. You can tell it's a fine nib. It writes okay. For me, I personally don't like it, but that's because my preference is for broad nibs. And this is just really too fine for me. You know, it's on the extra fine side of fine, I would say. You know, that's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it? Does write well, writes nicely, bit of scratchiness to it. I don't mind that. I'm quite happy to have a little bit of tactile feedback. In fact, I prefer it because then I like to feel that I'm writing when I'm actually doing it, rather than where it feels like you're writing on like an iPad. I think that's horrible. But writing on paper with this little nice bit of feedback, I think is really enjoyable. All in all, for $8, I actually think this is a worthwhile pen. An experiment I may try later on. I may see if I can swap the nib. Obviously, I need to spend more time to work out what size nib it is, how easy it is to swap. But ideally, I'd like to get a broad nib in this because I think then this may actually be going towards a perfect pen for me. It's really nice. So it's my first impressions of the Wing Sung 3013 with Herbin Éclat de Saphir. And yes, I apologise, I've mangled that French pronunciation. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Have you got one of these pens? I know it's going to join my stable of other Wing Sung pens that I've got, and also my stable of cheap vacuum fillers. What's your experience with these pens? Please drop a comment down below. Let's kickstart the conversation. Please hit the thumbs up button. Every time you like, every time you comment, just helps with the YouTube algorithm. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel so that you can get new videos as I release them. I'll talk to you again soon.